Hello everyone, I am Eleazar Santos Tejada. This recording is part of Testing and Evaluation in ELT course from UNAT, and the topic for this recording is about proposal of evaluation. As an introduction, I have to mention about evaluation some methods and approaches because they are essential parts in teaching and learning processes. When we talk about methods, we talk about how the teacher should behave in accordance with the students, with the topic, with the kind of theory they are going to use in order to teach their students. Basically, the methods refer or give some particular facts that teachers and learners have to be in mind. They have to have what are the materials they are going to be used, how they are going to use those materials, and what is the purpose for using any of those materials or activities in the classroom. As well, for learners, it is supposed they are guided in the way how they should learn, what is the best way for them to grab the knowledge in the classroom. And the approaches, they refer to different theories of learning or the nature of the learning, like that. Because you know that one student is different from the other and not all of them can be taught in the same way. So if we want to have good results, those theories are coming from linguistic or psychology, linguistics sources and things like that as part of the academic activities that guide students and teachers to develop a very effective learning process. Some examples of methods are, for example, the grammar translation, the direct method, the audiolingual method, and some examples of approaches are the silent way, the total physical response, and the Suggestopedia. Those methods and those approaches are kind of old, and maybe for some educators some of those methods and approaches can be outdated. But in fact, if we have in mind that around the world the resources and the capability for the teachers are not the same, are not the desired, we can find people using those methods and approaches still, or maybe the combination of some of those. What is the need for the assessment, the education? In a growing population of students, the teachers and even institutions need to create assessment instruments, because in this way they certify that students have reached one level, one amount of knowledge that permit those students to face the world, to face real situations based on what they have understood, what they have learned from the school. Of course, we know that summative and formative assessment are some of the most common. Later on, I will explain a little bit about those. If we talk about assessment as well, we need to remember that those tests should have implied some quality. More than quality, maybe I want to refer to those tests should be fair for students. Those characteristics from reliability and validity. The reliability is the degree or the accuracy of this measurement, and the validity is about the characteristic that the test measures and how these measures are developed when the teachers are conducting one kind of test. As well, we need to mention the diagnostic evaluation. The diagnostic evaluation, in here I just type that it is performed at the beginning of a learning stage. But in fact, it depends of every student, of every teacher, and what is the purpose for any of those. Any stage deserves to be evaluated or have one diagnostic. Maybe at the beginning of the school year, maybe at the beginning of the course, maybe when one term is ending and the next one is beginning, or maybe when students have left some time without going to academic environment, you need one diagnostic evaluation. And now properly about the formative and the summative evaluation. Formative evaluation, the idea is to monitor the student learning and to provide feedback, because after any process of teaching, students can have some gaps, some weaknesses, and the teacher is the person in charge of identify them and give that feedback to the student in order to improve them or fill those gaps in order to have an efficient process of learning coming from the student. And the summative evaluation is as like that, is at the end of any learning process. Can be done, for example, at the end of the year, in order to know if the objective or if the goals have been reached, or if the purpose of the that course, that instruction that at the beginning was established really was reached at the end. That is the summative evaluation. Now I'm going to refer to some aspects in evaluation. The first is the evaluation of English for special or specific purposes. The world is globalized, really globalized in all the aspects, in diplomacy, in education, in economy, in religion, in communication, etc. So talking about learning or teaching English, the fact of knowing English is the keystone for any person to be successful in their future or in their goals when they are going to face or go along to this globalized world. So different people have different reasons to study, and that is the idea when you talk about evaluation for special purposes. But this is very special education. The quality and degree of the learning achievement are determined by the teacher. If the teacher is a qualified, a competent teacher in teaching English for specific or special purposes, the results should be evident in the students, because it is not just to teach English. So this case is not for only teaching English for general English. For example, if we talk about a course for English for medical purposes, the vocabulary can refer to some aspects such as prefixes, medical equivalents, or technical words used in the communications or in the normal day expressions when the doctors or the nurses communicate with patients. This should be the vocabulary for this course. And what are the skills for that students in order that have to reach? For example, presentations, giving reports, effective doctor-patient communications, writing research articles, or taking medical histories. So in this case, it is necessary that the teacher have really great qualifications as an English and as a person that knows a lot about the medical field like that. Another aspect is assessment of young students. Maybe the most worried about how students are the school are the parents, and they require information about the students' progress. So this is one way how or why we assess young students. In here, we need to have in mind that the assessment for students should be really fair and motivating and stimulating, not using very complicated or abstract things that maybe make the students feel bad and avoid exploiting their skills or the really capabilities they could have. As teachers of young learners, we also collect information to share with the parents, to share with the students like that as a feedback and as part of our e-portfolio or of our files. The assessment of young students basically shows the progress of those students. But as well, sometimes those assessments are just requirements coming from the local authorities or the educative authorities in order to know what was the progress, what was the education that they have received, things like that. As well, at the end, students can be given a mark, a grade, score, or a certification that permit for the institution to promote them to the next grade. When we talk about English, it is really advisable to assess the 4 skills depending on what we have taught to the students in class. And there's variety of exercises and tasks in order to exploit their capabilities. Exploiting their capabilities, but according to what we have taught them. And finally, the evaluation through technology. Technology is part of the globalized world that I mentioned before. And as well, the use of technology in assessment is a really good tool for teachers, for institutions, and even for students, because we have variety of exercises, we have flexibility at moment of presenting tests, works, or things like that. The technology is one part that really should be aligned with the objective of the institution, should be aligned with the objective of the teacher, like that, how he is going to conduct the classes. And the technology should become one ally with the teachers and students. The evaluation through technology implies as well to be updated, because, for example, the use of internet and the new technologies should be in hands of the teachers. So teachers should be prepared to handle with this kind of tools, or these technological tools nowadays. Thank you very much. This is all in this occasion. See you next time.